everyone. I wanted to shoot you a post this week, a nice quick video to talk about a couple of things. I did promise to sort of do a quick recap on what we've covered in the past few weeks because we're into just finishing up week 4, moving into week 5, and there's actually a ton that we've learned. So I'm hoping to recap some of that for you. But before we do that, I had a really interesting thing happen to me this week that directly pertains to what we've been talking about in terms of who to believe when it comes to articles that we read in the newspaper, story we hear in the news, and how to analyze that data. So you may or may not have heard, it's been going around on Twitter. I'm going to attach the article to this post, but there is a group that has sent out a mailing campaign to thousands of science teachers across the United States, all about how there is no correlation or causation between our environment, climate change, and human impact. So basically what they're aiming to do is they're trying to undo all of the gains that we've made in terms of educating the public about our direct impact, which has been supported by overwhelming evidence that we have had a direct impact on the increase in carbon dioxide and methane in the atmosphere, which has increased our global temperatures. So unfortunately, we're still debating about climate change. But what's really interesting and what's really tough about this mailing is that this is a mailing that was sent to thousands of science teachers all over the United States. And some of the things that we've told you guys to look for in terms of whether or not the person is a scientist, whether or not they're published, whether or not their data has been peer reviewed, are there advertisements all over that look suspicious. So we've taught you some of these ways in the past couple of weeks to combat that, to be able to tell what's fact from fiction. And unfortunately, this group has done a very good job of being able to hide. And guess who got a mailer in her mailbox this week from this group? Here it is. This is me. Here's my name. Here's the mailer. Environmental climate news, study science teachers giving unbalanced education on climate change. Inside of this was a very professionally done brochure. There are geologists, climate scientists, physicists with their accreditations, their PhDs, letters, a DVD was in here. And to me, it's really scary because, you know, being able to teach people how to look at news with a scientific mind and how to pick out what's fact from fiction is extremely important. And here we have this group that has essentially masked all of the clues that we teach you to look for behind some very official looking data. And there are, in fact, scientists out there who do not believe that human impact, such as cars, industry, coal use. There are scientists that do believe that the rise in our global temperatures is not caused by the increase of human industry. It's not to say that scientists aren't out there, but the reality is those scientists are very, very few and far between. The overwhelming scientific community agrees at this point that we have a direct impact on our climate and that climate is warming because of human impact and industry. So now we've got this group that looks really official who has sent thousands of these to science teachers all over the country. So what do? How do you know? What are the other clues that you could possibly look for to help combat a very sophisticated and targeted approach to undo climate science and what it tells us about human impact? Well, you have to do a little digging. If you do some digging, you can even look at PBS, that has a story about a couple of major studies that support human impact on climate change that were not included in their information. And that really right there is the really sort of glaring and evident piece. You know, it sounds very professional, it all looks very good, but they left out some major studies which show not only correlation, but causation between human impact. And it's so critical in this day and age that we understand this, because we have to make more rapid changes. Unfortunately, we've been going the other direction recently, and this campaign certainly doesn't help that. You also, if you take a closer look at some of the folks who were involved with this and take a look at their political backgrounds and political affiliations, it starts to become a little more evident that there's absolutely political motivation behind this campaign. But I'm going to post this letter and I want you to take a look at it, because it really they've done a great job at covering up all of the ways that we've been talking about for how to tell if something is reliable. You know, it looks very nice. There's no advertisements. There's research. People are accredited. So this is something that is really perfect timing to talk about in our class. And in fact, I think I'm going to start up a discussion board post about it, because I would love to hear your feedback on how that would affect you. What would you think if you got something like that in the mail tomorrow? So I'm going to stop this video here. I'm going to do a separate video to recap the first few weeks, just so it doesn't get too long, too out of control. You can fast forward through parts if I'm talking too much. But thank you for listening. I think this is a really relevant topic. Look out for a new discussion board, because I would love to hear your feedback on this topic. Thanks so much, and you'll see my recap post shortly. Bye.